بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم إحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Okay, this is a follow-up video to my previous video I did on spiritual abuse. This is part 2. What I want to look at today is how that Sheikh I spoke about in part 1, how that Sheikh, how I think he is doing sihr on his students, male and female, and brothers around him. That's what I want to talk about today, because it seems that that's what's actually happening. Tayyib, okay. So what's my evidence and what's my how do I work this basically out? That this is the case actually, you know. I have to admit, I haven't done Ruqya Diagnosis, but I'm looking at the situation. I've seen people who are possessed with sihr. I remember I was possessed with sihr. I was possessed with jinn, which was jinn from sihr. And I've seen people who have had sihr. I've treated them, I've diagnosed them. I've been around these people. I myself was a patient. So they have strange behavior. And now, after working out that that particular sheikh is actually a sahir, I've come to the conclusion that those problems I've been having with certain brothers for over 10 years, I think now, it must be that the sheikh has actually done sihr on them, because it's just very strange behavior. Take for instance recently, and this actually made me think about it even more, because recently I was given if this didn't happen, if I didn't get this information, then maybe I wouldn't have thought about this. But but recently I was made aware that there is a brother not telling people about my ruqya when he knows about it, and Ruqya Diagnosis when he knows about it. He doesn't just tell people, and the people, they need that information to help them. He doesn't let them know anything about it. Very strange. And the brother knows me quite well. Doesn't talk about anything to the people, and you can see. He's never ever contacted me and told me really what you're doing, Ruqya Diagnosis, your Ruqya methodology is really haram, it's bid'ah, it's got shirk in it, you shouldn't be doing it, it's really bad what you're doing. Nothing, you're misguiding people. Never. He's never really said that to me. Yet, however, he himself stops people learning from me, doesn't turn people or doesn't let people know about Ruqya Diagnosis. So when people do come to him and tell him, and he's done it, and when it looks like the information I had was, he's done it a lot of times. So a lot of people he's done this to. When they come to him, because he has access to people of knowledge, he's able to tell people about Ruqya Diagnosis. And he has access to people of knowledge. So he knows, and he knows about me, and what I do. But he's done it it seems to be a lot of people. A lot of people he's just turned away and doesn't really help them. Doesn't say anything to them. So when they complain about certain things and that, doesn't suggest to them, look, you might have ruqya. You might have ruqya. So you might have something. You need to do ruqya on yourself to check yourself what you're suffering from. You see? So, And he's aware of other Raqis as well. You see? And he's aware of Ruqya Diagnosis. Because he knows that other Raqis, they do the same thing as basically me. Okay, I've changed it a little bit. I've gone into a bit more detail about how you can work out if you got sihr, who the sahir is, where the ta'weed is. Yes, okay, I do that. But, doing that doesn't make the ruqya haram or anything like this. He knows this. I'm quite sure he knows this, because other Raqis are doing the similar sort of thing. They all Raqis, they're going to read ruqya on you to see if you've got something. That's clear. Everybody basically does that. You see, So he knows this thing. So ruqya, he knows that what the Raqis are going to do, they're going to read ruqya on you to see what you've got. You see? Like I said, he doesn't send anybody my way. Fine, it doesn't really bother me. But I used to, now when I'm thinking about it, now I thought about it, it doesn't really bother me if you don't send anybody to me, because I'm not really here to make money from this thing anyway. I don't really care. I'm not after money and people or whatever. It doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really bother me that this person's doing this. But only recently I started thinking, oh really? This man is so busy with this. And I was just thinking about strange behavior. I've never said anything to him as well about it, what he's doing. But now we know that he's doing even more. I'm not saying anything to anybody. I wouldn't say anything to him anyway. But now I'm thinking about it. He must have sihr. really to do this, you see, you know. And like I said, I've been dealing with some people like this for 10 years, and he's one of them, and more than 10 years. And they're doing these strange things, and I just, just leave them alone. Now I can understand that maybe they've got sihr from the Sheikh, you see, because they hate Ruqya Diagnosis. They don't want to talk about it. They don't mention my name basically when it comes to Ruqya and that, and like I said, it's like they think that I'm misguiding people, but they know that as well. I'm not doing that. But they behave like that I'm doing that. I mean, if it's that bad, then how come you've not contacted me and told me, look, Said, you're doing something that's really wrong. You shouldn't be teaching people these things, you see, It's because they've manifested and, shown this hatred and, this jealousy and anger. And I don't even deserve any of that because I'm actually a nobody. How do you can have some jealousy towards me? Actually, if that's the case. Well, their behavior seems to be showing that. It seems that hatred, anger, jealousy, this is what it is. Now, I think that what's happened there is that the Sheikh has done sihr on them. So the jinn, when it goes inside you, it will just see which one's more appropriate for you. Would jealousy work? Then it will give you feelings of jealousy. Would fear work? It will give you feelings of fear. Would hatred work? Anger work? It will just decide, depending on the person, when they go inside, they make their assessment, the jinn, and then they use that, whatever they think is appropriate for that particular person. Jealousy might work for one person, and that might work. Another person, hatred towards me might work. So they'll do that. That's how these jinn work, you see. So like I said, too much hatred, too much anger towards me. Only conclusion I could get out of this, and stopping people learning Ruqya from me, or stopping me helping people, I could only understand that, these guys have got sihr. They must have sihr on them. You see, that's the only thing. That's the only way I think I could explain it. You see, I couldn't understand it. You see, what's going on here? So that's the conclusion I got to at the end when I saw. You could see from the behavior of people, it's strange behavior. I'm not worthy. I mean, even if let's say this jealousy thing, which people can fall into, what they're supposed to do, they don't let it fester. Say, make dua for me. Barakallahu alayk, make the dua, and that's it, and just get rid of it. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to let it fester because you'll end up falling to haram with it, you see. But they're not thinking, it seems. They're not thinking, and hatred, even these feelings. You shouldn't be having these things in your heart because I don't deserve it. I'm a nobody. The only thing, because look, see, it would make sense. I'm a big somebody. People are visiting me. I mean, I'm well known, famous, or whatever. Then you could understand it. There's some hatred and things like this. I could understand jealousy. I can understand something like that. That happens. That happens. But when I'm a nobody and people are behaving like this, then that's very strange. That has to be very strange. I've only got 1,200 people on my YouTube channel. Okay, one of my videos, it's not even on my channel. It's 100,000 views, and that's one I did 10 years ago in the Luton Islamic Center. About 10 years ago, I did that. But still, I don't deserve this kind of hatred, this anger, this behavior really from certain brothers. But that's what we got. So the only conclusion I could come up with, this must be sihr, side, because you don't deserve this. It doesn't make sense. Strange behavior. You see, it's strange behavior from these brothers, you see. Now it looks like the Sheikh, he does the sihr on his students and people around him in two ways, or two reasons he does it. There's two reasons why he does the sihr for. The first reason is so that obviously he can have access to the women. So what happens there? The sihr will be done, and then the brothers, their guard goes down. Sons, brothers, husbands, their guard goes down, and then the Sheikh can have access to these women. Because the brothers are not really thinking that, the Sheikh can do anything to me, because they've got sihr on there. So maybe they'll have a sihr of kind of a mahabba for the Sheikh. They start loving the Sheikh more than usual, have more respect for him than usual. And this is from the jinn which have gone inside and given him this kind of waswas. Because remember, waswas can be done with feelings and emotions. They can generate these feelings and emotions inside you, and people sadly act upon them. You see, so that's what I think is happening there. Again, I don't have any, I have not done any diagnosis on any of these brothers, Okay, I don't think they would even allow me to do diagnosis on them. But the way people are behaving, I think this is what is happening. This is what's happening. It's too much to be like this, basically, you know. So they have this sihr on them. Sheikh is able to do home visits. You know, they visit the sheikh. His wives, sheikh, they maybe visit the sheikh's wives, whatever. Sheikhs might phone sisters. The brothers, you know, might meet up with them. They're not thinking too much. They're not really thinking that anything haram is happening. You know, they can't see anything because they've got sihr, and it's just blinded them basically to the evils of the sheikh, basically. So that's one reason to do it. Have access to the women. The second reason he would do it on these brothers and sisters, even sisters, these female students, is so that they will protect the sheikh if something goes wrong. So when he's doing something haram with one of these sisters, and that sister complains, or the word comes out, then if he's got a group of people who are loyal supporters, they're there to protect the reputation of the sheikh. So they will say things and, you know, put people down and say, who are you to speak against the sheikh and this and that. So they've got these kind of people around, you see, defending the sheikh basically. So nothing could be nothing gets out, basically. You know, they put a stop to any of that. Yeah. So that's the kind of sihr that is done on them. And in fact, you could be even both. So you could have somewhere where one of these students, one of these brothers, they might have sihr, and the sheikh wants access to their daughters. Okay, and then at the same time he's done sihr on the brother. So the brother so he has sihr on the brother, so he has access to his daughter. Also does sihr on the brother, so the brother himself protects the sheikh if the daughter starts saying things. You see, when a daughter might be goes to her father or relative or whatever and complains, Dad, you know, uncle, brother, so and so sheikh has done, you know, did this to me. It's like, oh, you this is ridiculous. Why are you talking that? Maybe it's all in your imagination. You know, you've got problems. You've got psychological problems anyway. You know, you had those jinn issues when you were younger. You'll come up with something and then they'll just dismiss what she's saying. Yeah, because the person's got sihr, so they just dismiss what the daughter or the sister is saying, basically. Let's look at two scenarios of how this would work in reality. What would happen? Okay, so a patient maybe, or somebody who thinks he's got sihr or something like this, you know, he's got issues. He might approach the sheikh or one of the students or people around him, or even sisters. It could be even a sister doing this, approaching this. Doesn't necessarily have to be a man approaching the sheikh, but it could be even a sister. People around him talking about this, you see, and they want to you know, ask a question. Is there any way to know if I've got sihr or jinn? You know, what can I do? I mean, I think I'm suffering evil eye. I think there is something here, but I don't know what's going on. Is it possible to know if I've got something? And they would probably turn around and say, no, this is all the unseen. You cannot ask all of these things. This is all part of the unseen. You're not allowed to know any of these things. You know, no. You must keep away from these things. Do not ask these questions. Don't go into there. You know, you could fall into haram. Keep well away from these things. They might even say to him, you know, if you go to someone and somebody tells you that you could work out if you got sihr, or, you know, you can work out who the sahir is, if you can work out if you got ayn, such a person has to be a sahir or fortune teller. Don't trust any of these people, you know. Don't go near them. Anybody who says this kind of stuff to you, forget it. Don't trust these kind of people, you see. And what they might give to him at the end, they might say to him, look, all you should just do ruqya treatment on yourself. You can read ruqya is fine. But don't do diagnosis. Diagnosis is very dangerous. Keep well away from that. Just do ruqya treatment on yourself, because that's what the Sahaba used to do. Ruqya diagnosis is something new. We never heard the Sahaba do any of these things. It's true. The Sahaba never did ruqya diagnosis. But what I'll say there is that the Sahaba never reacted to ruqya. They never reacted to ruqya. So then how do you explain the reactions then? You see, when we read ruqya, we get reactions. How do we explain that? I talk about all of that and the evidence for ruqya diagnosis in the article, which I'll put in the description to this video, inshallah ta'ala, you know. But that's what they'll say to them probably. And then that brother, you know, doesn't know what to do, so he does some ruqya treatment himself, but just goes around in circle, because he doesn't know when he's cured as well. Because what happens to a lot of brothers, sadly, they just do ruqya treatment. As one of my students said to me recently, he said to me, you know, I'll just go around in circles. I would think I'm cured, and because the symptoms, I feel a little bit better, but he doesn't use Ruqya Diagnosis to confirm that he's cured. So then he'll just walk around for a few weeks and it all comes back again. So, oh, what's going on here? Yeah, because you weren't cured in the first place. That's why. And he'll go stop, start, because he doesn't understand how to work out when you're cured. Well, the only way you're going to work out if you're cured, I mean, everything is gone, is by doing Ruqya Diagnosis. When you get no more reactions, that's when you know that you're cured, you see. So, but, no Ruqya. For the Sheikh and his students, they're not going to be telling you to go do Ruqya Diagnosis. No. They don't want you to be doing that. Because, again, it's going to expose the Sheikh, you see. Starts teaching this stuff and letting people know about it, the Sheikh's going to be exposed, you see. And definitely the Sheikh doesn't want to be exposed, Now, another scenario would be like the Sheikh might have done sihr on a sister, and he convinces her he will marry her, and he just wants to do temporary marriage with her, Mut'ah. He wants to do mut'ah, and I want to do temporary marriage with you, and I want to, we want to get to know each other. And she's really wants to get married. She's surprised that the Sheikh's asked her. She's just happy about this. And alhamdulillah, it's good. There are sincere sisters who really want to marry Sheikhs, and this is what these kind of people they prey on as well. You see, these pure, and they're sincere sisters. This one, yes, this is good. It's good for my akhirah. If I marry this, it's going to help me in my dunya and my akhirah. It's going to help my children as well, my future children. So they're thinking like this, which is all good. They'll get rewarded for these things. You end up marrying a shaitan, but you went through and it's a test what they were going through. You go through this test, and Allah will help you, inshallah ta'ala, and reward you. And then it might be that Allah does indeed marry some of these sisters to a genuine sheikh in the end, but he might have to put you through this will be kind of your test to go through this test. Tough time, because in your heart you're thinking, yes, this is what I need to do. I need to marry a sheikh. You've understood that, and you want to go and you try to do that, but you end up marrying this evil person. He does what he does. You come out of that marriage, and then maybe in the end Allah will, because of the test you went through, he gives you a real genuine sheikh. We pray that for those poor sisters, you see. So the Sheikh's confused the sister, and she agrees to this because she's a bit confused, you see. And the sister just agrees to do, she's got sihr on me, he's done sihr on her, so she just agrees to this temporary marriage. We need to get to know each other, come on sister, it's okay, don't worry about it. She gets confused, is it really haram? Then the Sheikh will say to her, no, it's like there's a difference of opinion on this, it's not like that, it's not, like, confuses the sister, doesn't really know, you see. What's going on with, doesn't know the full understanding of the issue, and she just believes, because she can't believe the Sheikh will be lying about these things, doesn't want to, say, I mean, she can't believe that a Sheikh would lie about some things like this, you see, and then he might even say to her, look, you've asked somebody who knows, Allah just wants you to ask the scholars. You ask someone, I've got some knowledge, and I'm telling you, sister, it's like this. And because she's got sihr, and plus she's really wants to marry the Sheikh, she just ignores, it must be true, he's going to lie to me. And I've done my, and she'll just think, yeah, I've done my part. I've asked someone of knowledge, and he said it's all right, actually. So, and I don't have the knowledge really to check it out, so it must be okay, you see. So, and she ends up, poor sister, she ends up marrying him. What happened there is that the Sheikh, takes her, enjoys himself for 3 months with her, doing what he's doing, does his zina, and zina basically, and he does that. Poor sister doesn't know anything, and that carries on. I mean, I did actually get one Iraqi actually telling me, he actually told me this, that's what's actually happened. Poor sister, he knows one poor sister like that, who ended up doing the temporary marriage with someone of knowledge, one of the so-called imam, he said to me. So what I'm telling you there is it's the reality, you see. It's not something which is doesn't happen, you see. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Allah save us, Then the Sheikh, after these 3 months of dealing with the sister, he might tell the sister, I can't marry you now. It's difficult for me to marry you now, because his wives are getting angry and jealous because the sister is very young and beautiful. So what he's done there, you see, this is cunning Sheikh you're dealing with here, he's put the blame on the wives, his wives. I tried to marry you, I really want to marry you. So that's what he's trying to say to her. So now what he's done here, just blamed his wives. So that's how he's going to get out of this one. He said, look, you're very young and very beautiful. My wives are upset and jealous. They're angry. It's really caused me a lot of problems in my house. I don't know what to do. I can't even give the dowry properly. Da, 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 da. And so he shifts the blame on the wives. So then, so he doesn't have any blame. So he tried to, deflect her anger and put it towards the wives. Put it towards my wife. So then she ends up being angry at the wives. Why didn't the wives just allow me to marry him? Da, 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 da. They're just keeping the sheikh to themselves, whatever. And now that makes it a little bit easier for him just to divorce her, and she just accepts it like that, so she feels that maybe it's the wives who are the cause of all of this, you see. Then it might be what happens after that is that Allah helps the sister with true dreams, and she sees that the sheikh is doing sihr on her. Now you see with dreams, sometimes, and this is just a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we don't have many dream interpreters. I'm sure everybody's noticed that, haven't they? There's not many dream people who interpret dreams, you see. I only know two. One in the English language, and one who speaks Arabic as well, English, and Sheikh Khalid Al-Anbari, That's I only know two people really, person. I spoke to the one, I know Sheikh Khalid Al-Anbari personally. So, he's interpreted a lot of my dreams, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. But I know him, and I only know someone else, and that's it. Subhanallah. So there's not many people. So what I've seen, how Allah helps the poor people who've got sihr and that, what I've seen is that He gives them dreams that are ala dhahiri, as the scholars say, just as it is. There's no need to interpret the dream. The dream is clear as day. You don't need to you don't need interpretation. It's not like kind of symbolic dream. No, it's quite clear. You see the sahir, and you might see the sahir standing there, and she might see somebody who's dead, who died, and people who are dead usually will tell you the truth. Or you might see even the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah might bless some of these poor sisters with seeing the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will point, be angry at him, and said, he's done sihr on you, like that, clear. Doesn't need any interpretation, that one. And she'll get up like that. One of the signs of that you had a true dream is that when you've had it, you just get up like that. When the dream ends, it ends like that. So the sister might get something like that, showing that that sheikh has done sihr on her. You see, and then she has all these. Then she has the typical symptoms of sihr and stuff like this. So she's seen the dream, and then she has the symptoms of sihr, and actually says, yeah, no, that dream's true. Something has happened. You see, and then she might seek help from her friends, family, but they're all connected to the sheikh. That's the problem. Her friends and family, they've all got connection with the sheikh. You see, and he's done sihr on all of them. You see, she's got a problem now. She doesn't know what to do. She got her friends and they all got sihr from the sheikh, so it's issues. And she wants to say to them, look, there's some issues here, but nobody's listening to her because she's now claiming that maybe the sheikh, look, I think the sheikh maybe is dead. Like, this is what I saw. I actually saw the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying this, or she saw somebody who's dead. Usually a person who's dead, and they tell you something in the dream, it usually is true. Somebody who's dead, somebody who's died, and they tell you something, it's usually true. You see. And then all the students and the people around her start saying that she's a lion, and they might even threaten her. Maybe get verbally abused. She gets very scared. She doesn't know what to do. They're not really helping her out. It's just all doors closed in her face, basically. Nobody's helping her out. And she's got something. Nobody's even listening to her dream. Look, she's had a dream. There's something to look at here. You see? And she's got some sort of symptoms and stuff like this. Ruqya Diagnosis again. But again, these people don't want to do anything with Ruqya Diagnosis. They hate it. It's too much hatred for it. That's why I think there must be sihr on it. It's too much hatred for Ruqya Diagnosis. Really. It's too much hatred for it. If the amount of hatred they have for it, like I said, that much hatred for it, if it's one of the signs that I think maybe there's sihr on these people. And that's because I know these people are around this sheikh, you see, or affiliated to him, and they're around him and stuff, you see, or around people who are around him or his students, you see. The worst abuse she will get, this poor sister, will be from the hard group of sisters around the sheikh. You know, these hard crew. Some of them might include his wives or whatever, her and the wives' friends. You know, these are the ones which are really hardcore on the sheikh. You know, and they're the ones who are really going to give her a lot of problems, maybe more so than the men. You know. I mean, she can maybe handle the stuff from the men. And men maybe not talk to her too much. They might say some things, but the really way she's going to get all the abuse and stuff like that, and being threatened and psychologically abused and all this kind of stuff. The trauma, a lot of the trauma comes from the sisters around the heart. This hardcore element around the sheikh. You know, they're to protect the sheikh from these evil women who are, trying to destroy the reputation of the sheikh. You see, and to destroy the dawah. You know, those sisters around that sheikh. They're the ones who are going to give the sister a lot of problems, you see. And obviously no help is going to be given to the sister to do Ruqya diagnosis to find out what's going on. And she doesn't do any treatment for it because she doesn't even know what she's... I mean, she doesn't even know about Ruqya diagnosis. It might be the fact that they've even kept the knowledge away from her. She might be a revert sister. She doesn't even know that such something like that exists. You know, that you can actually find out if you've got sihr and whatever. She doesn't know anything about that, maybe. You know? And what will happen there is that that sister will continue having a sihr. And what sadly could happen, and I've seen one case like this, with the sheikh, you see, I've seen one case, that the sihr will stay on the particular sister, and then the sheikh can maybe, if he wants to go back, he can maybe, again, do something again. Because she's so affected that she might even relapse and just go back to the sheikh for a little bit and then go back again. And he might just pick the phone up and start talking to her again and, explain to her, apologize to her and stuff like that. She might fall into it again. And it can happen. It can keep happening like that again. You see. And you might wonder, why does he just get rid of this? How come the sihr doesn't go? Well, it could be the fact that it just renews itself and the sheikh renews it so you can keep that one on the back burner, basically. When I need her, and I can't find any other women to do to relieve myself, I'll go to that woman. Keep her there, you see. And you probably find that poor sister can't even get married. Or if she does get married, she'll get divorced. Or she divorced her husband, you see. Because she's just messed up, poor thing. Yeah, so, yeah. I did actually get an email recently after the first video came out. A poor sister saying to me that, she did have this affected by an imam, and then when she tried to tell people, everybody's just saying that you're lying, and it was too difficult for her. It was very embarrassing. She said it a few times. They just so basically making her shut up. Basically, I wasn't surprised, things like that happening, because I already know things like that are happening. You see, that whatever else I hear from people just confirms my thoughts on the sheikh anyway, or people like him. You see, I've also seen here, so that's basically how the issue of Ruqya diagnosis, would people make sure that people don't get any help with regards to Ruqya diagnosis from the sheikh. You see, that's so if you see any scenarios like that, stories like that, those two scenarios I described, then maybe advise people to do Ruqya diagnosis themselves and see what if they are suffering from anything. If you can convince them. You see, I'll put the article in the description. Give it to them. See, look, this is it. Give them my videos. Help them. Once you know that you understand that Ruqya diagnosis is permissible to do, then it kind of becomes an obligation for you to help that person. You see, because the knowledge now has come for you. You researched it. You looked at what I've written. You've seen my videos. Okay. Now you have to help that person. You can tell them, look, do Ruqya diagnosis on yourself, and you can find out what exactly is wrong with you. You see. You should advise the person, because now you kind of hiding knowledge is haram as well. It's a major sin. So once it's become clear to you that what I'm teaching is not haram, then you need to help the person. You need to spread the knowledge, you see. Because maybe you'll be asked. Somebody's come to you and asked you something. Now it kind of becomes an obligation for you to give them the knowledge, you see. Let's move on to something else. Let's move on to, I've seen the Sheikh's students, you see. And like I said, they've got sihr on them, the students, so to protect him and for him to have access to their women. You see, I've also seen these students doing strange things themselves. I remember seeing one particularly doing some strange things with the women. Back then, I'm not thinking about it, what is it? Just ignored it. I don't know what that is. It looks dodgy. I've had women complain about that same person. I didn't pay much attention to it, you see. But now, after looking at the whole situation, I realized that's something there. He's his student, so there must be something. There must be something in this now, you see. All fingers, everything is pointing to the Sheikh as a big Sahir, you see, basically, you know. So my advice to brothers and sisters who hate Ruqya Diagnosis, please ask yourselves, why do you hate it so much? Why do you hate it so much? You know, you have to sort of like look at it. Why do you have this so much hatred about Ruqya Diagnosis? You know, do you have any evidence against it? You know, if it's so clear, how come you've not emailed me and told me about it? You know, and advised me. I mean, that's not right as well, is it really? If you think you know that something is wrong, I'm doing something haram, how come you've not phoned me, told me, emailed me, said this is wrong, you know what you're doing is wrong, you shouldn't be teaching people these things? I've only had one person email me really, trying to advise me, he was trying to refute the Ruqya Diagnosis what I was teaching. Then I sent him the updated version of the Ruqya Diagnosis, and he's never got back to me after that, meaning he was happy with it, you see. He didn't come back to me with that as well, you know. And I remember one of my students as well handed one person saying something about Ruqya Diagnosis. He might have had some feelings towards Ruqya Diagnosis. The brother sent him the article. He didn't come back with it as well. He didn't say anything, you see. So, yeah. I mean, if it is that bad, then really my videos should be down. My videos from Luton Islamic Center should be taken down. My other videos in other Masjid Humaira in London, you know, things should be, you know, my video should be taken down really, you know. But it's nothing like that has happened, you see. There should be refutations of my methods as well. Really, you don't really find that there, you know. I've only had one person I remember comments or something. I remember commented to someone about the using the Ruqya using Ruqya diagnostic water. This is haram or something like this. This is wrong. You couldn't really say it's haram because it's not haram really using Ruqya water. Now you use Ruqya Diagnosis. For instance, if I got my water here and I read Ruqya on it, diagnosis taken for Sihr, and then I tell the patient I read Ruqya Diagnosis in there, and I get my reference point, and then I read and I drink that water. It's got Ruqya on it. I drink it. It might be that I start reacting to it. And what does that mean? It means the person's got Sihr. Does it happen to every case? No, not every case that who's going to drink the Ruqya Diagnosis water is not going to work. It doesn't. But it happens sometimes. You see, it does happen sometimes that you drink Ruqya Diagnostic water and you get affected by it. It happens, you know. But using Ruqya Diagnostic water is really helpful when you're dealing with cases where you're a bit, has he got Sihr or not got Sihr? So what I do with those patients is tell them, look, I want you to read Ruqya Diagnostic Diagnosis for Sihr on the water. Then I tell the patient to drink it, take 3 gulps of that. Okay, they drink 3 gulps of that. So now they've got Ruqya in their stomach, Ruqya water in their stomach, and then you read the Ruqya on top of that, and usually you get reactions. Because why? Because now there's 2 sources of the Ruqya, me reading on him and the Ruqya Diagnostic water in the stomach as well, you see. Yeah, so you can, it does work, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And there's not really what I remember that somebody was saying is that oh, you can never react to it. This is people who are saying that you're always going to react. You're not going to always react to it. I've never said that you're always going to react to this water. You might react to it, and that's a possibility. You definitely might react to Ruqya Diagnostic water. But you drinking the water and you didn't get any reactions, what does that mean? Does that mean you haven't got Sihr? No, it doesn't mean that. Now read Ruqya on yourself and see what happens. You see, that's what you've got to do. You see, you know. But that's all I've had really. One email and somebody trying to refute using Ruqya Diagnostic water. That's it. Not really had anything else, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, you see. You know. The other thing is advising these brothers, once they know that the Ruqya as I said earlier, once you know the Ruqya Diagnosis is nothing wrong with it, and you yourself are convinced that this helps people and it really does work, you know, and they can't find anything wrong with it, then, you know, when somebody asks you about it and you see that they're in need and that, you're supposed to help them with it. You end up being maybe sinful of not giving them that knowledge about Ruqya. You just stay silent about it, you know. I mean, obviously this is only for someone who's convinced that, yeah, this thing works. You can work out if you got Sihr by doing this. You can work out if you got Ayn by doing Ruqya Diagnosis. Once you know that it does work, then you should help the people, because you can end up being sinner, falling into major sin, because you're not spreading knowledge, you see. Now, what I fear for these people who are so against the Ruqya diagnosis, and they know that it's okay. That's what I'm talking about here. They know it's okay. What could happen to those poor people is that you might end up getting sihr yourself, you know? Yeah, you might end up getting sihr yourself, sadly. You know, so you have to be careful about this. I mean, that would be kind of a punishment for you for not helping that so-and-so. Some brothers need help, sisters need help. You're not doing anything, and you're not giving them that information. Allah might punish you with sihr yourself, you know? You know, and maybe when you do the Ruqya, you know about Ruqya diagnosis, when you do the Ruqya diagnosis, negative result for you because of the sin you did. You see? You know? It might end up being a negative result for you. You have to actually make tawbah, and then it might work for you. You see? You know? So what could we say in sort of like to wrap this part of the talk up here? If you've got any feelings, emotions against someone, anyone, even me, whoever. Okay, in this particular case, we're talking about myself and my Ruqya treatment and that. If you've got so much anger, hatred, jealousy, anger, love, check yourself for sihr. Check yourself for sihr. You know? If you've got too much love for a particular sheikh, maybe you need to check yourself. I will check myself. Because that's something what you've got to do when, you know, most of the sihr is done like that. It's going to be sort of hidden with the feelings. You won't know that you've got it until you do the Ruqya diagnosis. You see, you won't know you've got it. Sometimes even the jinn will go inside you, and they won't even give you any waswas. They'll just dare to do one particular job, give you an illness. Like I one patient who was suffering like that. They'll just dare to give you one particular illness. Okay, person suffers from that illness and doesn't feel any waswas. The only way that person was going to know that they've got some sihr or something is by doing Ruqya diagnosis, because they don't have the other symptoms. Jinns have been told no waswas, don't give problems between the husband and wife, don't give them nightmares, things like this. No other symptoms, just cause this illness in the person. Such a person, they only worked out that they had something is when they did Ruqya diagnosis. I think they saw one of my videos and that, and they said, okay, let me try this out. And then they realized they had something, you know. SubhanAllah. So, if you get these strange feelings towards someone, especially if you get a sister who comes to you in strict confidence, and she asks you for advice and tells you, you know, what happened to her between you and what happened to her between her and the sheikh, and you immediately start getting really angry at the sister. You know, you feel anger towards, hatred towards the sister, even though she's not done anything to you. Then that might be a sign that you've got sihr, because the sister doesn't deserve this. It's not right. The sister doesn't deserve this. All she's saying, look, I'm worried. This has happened to me. And that's how most of the sisters obviously going to talk. They're not going to be talking like, oh, that sheikh is. Initially, they're going to be emotional, be crying, and they're going to be telling you, look, I've got problems. This happened to me. What do you think? You know, we don't really have a right to start screaming and shouting to them, do we? You see. And that's how they're going to come to you. So you have to sort of step back and say, why am I feeling so angry towards this particular sister right now? All she's doing is she's telling me that she's gone through some abuse, some trauma, something really bad has happened to her, and I'm really angry at her. It doesn't make sense for you to be that angry towards her. It doesn't make sense. You know, I remind you of what happened to me between me and my wife when I got married. Angry at her, and she's not done anything to me. And I was like that for 12 years because I didn't know anything about it. I hated her, angry, felt like killing her. So I just couldn't understand. I said, don't know what's going on here. I didn't understand it because nobody really taught me about waswas. I never knew waswas could actually be done like that. You see, no idea that waswas can be actually generated by the jinns. They can actually put these feelings inside you. Had no clue about that. And that's what I was saying. I don't know if I said it in the other talk, but that's why I was saying that, you know, people need to be told about Tawheed, and they need to be told about the devil as well. So you need to be told about how to worship Allah. And I was taught that, alhamdulillah, you know, how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I didn't have, along that, nobody taught me about the enemy of the enemy, the shaitan, and how he actually does waswas, how it's actually done. Nobody taught me that, sadly. So if I had that information, as I say in the beginning part of my Waswas article, it would have been a big difference in my life. I would have known, okay, I'm getting Waswas. This must be from one of a devil inside me or something like this. You see, So, so that's what could happen. Brothers will be angry toward their sisters, and they can't explain why they're feeling angry toward these poor sisters. Even other sisters might feel the same thing: anger towards this, hatred and anger towards this particular sister who's complaining about the sheikh. And the sister, obviously, like I said, she's not going to be complaining in a bad way. She's going to be emotional, be crying and telling you, look, I need help. What can I do? What do you think I should do? And they might just dismiss it, very angry. That's where you need to ask the question. You stop and you think, look, I'm getting too angry at this particular sister. I'm just feeling really, really angry towards her. And all she's done, she's just told me about that sheikh, and she's not said it really in a bad way. She's kind of even speaking in a sort of respectful way about the sheikh, what's happened. She's not really going into too many details, but she's saying that something's happened between me and the sheikh. How can I need help. She's not really been abusive or anything like that. She's not really over criticizing me, the sheikh or whatever. She's not really said anything in a haram way maybe or something like that. She's not said nothing really bad about him. But yet you're getting angry at her, you're upset with her, and you have this hatred towards her. And that's when you got to check for yourself for your sihr. But then again, a lot of these poor brothers and sisters don't want to check for sihr. They don't want to check for and do a diagnosis on themselves. You see, and this sheikh has got these systems in place. You see, this sheikh has got these systems in place so to protect him. So when we have those poor sisters like that coming through and want to help, she's got to go through all these walls. And all the doors are basically slammed in her face. No help, subhanAllah, and make things easy for them. You see? And like I said, it's Ruqya Diagnosis, the only thing which is going to expose this sheikh. Nothing really else. And that's why his students and himself, they hate Ruqya Diagnosis. They hate it. You see? So what we have to do as an ummah with poor sisters like this who are suffering, we have to listen to them, and we shouldn't immediately assume that these sisters are lying. And we should try to help them. Try to help them. Try to find out, and try to find out if the story is correct or not. There's no doubt about it. You do that. You do the investigation. Do the investigation. See what you can do for the sister. You see, try to help them out. Don't just immediately say they're lying, they're no good. When you over defend the sheikh too much like that, say that's not right to do that. Let's look in, especially when you get few sisters saying it now. Hey, it's just not one. Several sisters are saying the same thing. And these sisters are not all linked. They're not all friends of each other. What's going on here? How come we're not checking this out? That needs to be checked out. It needs to be checked out. We shouldn't leave it alone. You see, it needs to be checked out. Let's move on to something. What can the sisters do to help themselves against these people, these sheikhs who are doing these things? You see, number one, don't be alone with the sheikh. Don't be alone with him, no matter what. And even in the car, don't be alone with the sheikh. In the car, wherever, don't be alone with the sheikh. Avoid that kind of a situation. If you make sure there are people with you, okay. Especially if you've got your brother, your son or something like that. That's what you would need. Another sister, maybe not good enough. I think it would be better if you have what's his name, another your brother or husband or somebody like close to you with you when you're dealing with the sheikh. That's what you need to do. Don't communicate with the sheikh via social media unless you have somebody seeing your chats. And in the group talk with you as well, in the group chat with you. Group chat with him, no problem. So your father or somebody's in there, another man is in there, seeing the chats, or a group of sisters or whatever like that. You see, then it'll be difficult. But preferably, it'll be better if you got it'll be if you're going to be talking to the sheikh, then it's yourself, your brother, your husband, your son, something like that. That's what you need. Somebody close to you, when you're dealing with the sheikh. You see. Another thing that the sisters can do is get rid of all these social media photos of themselves. where they, you know, not wearing proper hijab. Get rid of them. Make them private or get rid of them. Better to get rid of them. Even if you're got hijab on, get rid of these photos. You see? You'll be amazed at how many men look at these photos, you see. You'll be amazed at what men do. Get rid of these photos. You know, all the social media photos, even the ones on like WhatsApp and stuff like this, get rid of them. Don't let anybody see your photos, basically. Wear proper hijab, not jeans and a little scarf and stuff like this. Wear a proper hijab. You don't mean, okay, you don't have to maybe cover your face. It doesn't have to be all black, doesn't have to be gloves. Okay. Alright, but make sure you wear proper hijab. You see? Make sure you wear a proper hijab. When you go outside as well, no gold rings, jewelry, you know, henna on your hands as a display. Keep away from all of that, you know. Those things are haram. I believe that those things are haram. And you know, all of these things which make you look beautiful. This is all should be in for your husband, basically. It's not out there for other men to see. Even the henna and the rings and that, you know. Even the putting kuhl in your eyes, you know. Get rid of all of that, you know. And sisters even will put, say, some sisters put niqab on and they put all this makeup on their eyes as well. Stop all of that, you know. Don't do any of those things. No perfume when you go outside as well. And other sins as well. Music, you know, sins like even major sins like cutting off from relatives, missing prayers. Obviously, get rid of all sins. But I'll just mention those ones because it's hijab which really causes a lot of problems for sisters, and it's music, things like music. It's the sometimes kind of they're not things which you can see straight away are haram, and then the reason they do that because they want to confuse you, the jinn, you know, and make you do things that you don't even think are haram. And the next time you keep doing those things, like listen, for instance, minor sin, listening to music all the time. You keep listening to it, ends up being a major sin, and then the jinn can take over you. You see. Remember, the Sheikh is not going to give you, make you fall in. The jinn from the Sheikh are not going to make you fall into big things. All they need you to do is a small sin. Wait for you to keep doing that. Once you've done that sin enough times, then it ends up being a major sin, and then that's when the jinn have got control of you, and then the Sheikh could just click his fingers, and the jinn would just take over you completely, and you can't control it. You can't stop the abuse, and he can do whatever he wants to you, and you won't be able to stop it. Like I said in the other video, you'll be maybe just watching it, and astaghfirullah, Allah save us from that, because it can even happen to a man. You'll be just watching it like a film, basically watching it, seeing he's doing what he's doing, and you just suffer like that. You're like frozen, and he's doing what he's doing, or you might just totally black out, and he does what he wants to do as well, like that. You see, Allah save the sisters and the brothers from this. You see, yeah. The other thing, obviously, to do is the morning even adhkar. I found that a lot of people, they don't do the morning even adhkar. Very sad. You need to do the morning even adhkar. A lot of the patients, when I'm dealing with patients, is that, you do morning even adhkar? No. Morning even adhkar? No. And it's really sad that you see that a lot of people are not doing the morning even adhkar. You know, that needs to be done. That's one of the ways of Allah, way Allah protects us, you see. You know? Now, if you do all of those things, then you'll be, inshallah ta'ala, protected from the Sheikh and these kind of sheikhs, and also jinn, because remember there are jinn flying around and seeing these things, and they also see in social media as well, the jinn. You know, jinns can fall in love with you by just looking at what you put on them there. You see, you know, if they like what they see, they will come for you. You see, you know, yeah. So they'll find your location, and they'll come to you. You see, so and even the jinns when you're walking around in the streets. If you're not wearing proper hijab, you're not doing those things, they can see that you're vulnerable. They can tell that you've not done your protection adhkar. They can tell these things. How they know these things, I don't know, but they know. It seems that they know these things. They know the people who are pious, and they know the ones who are not pious. They know these things. How exactly they know this, I don't know, but they know these things, and that's why they attack certain people. So when you got your sins, and you're not doing protection adhkar, they know these things. You see. And we know, like from the hadith about when we say that dua, Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Those jinns outside, they say, how can we get somebody who said this, basically this dua, who's protected in that? So they do know when people have done their adhkar and things like this. So they just keep away from these kind of people. If you haven't got these things done, they know that they can attack you and they go for you, basically. So it's important for us to keep away from sins, and important for us to do our adhkar, you see. طيب, that's all I want to say about this. Great, okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.